Hello there guys, gals, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leipaladin, and today we've got a fairly exciting and potentially controversial video as finally, after years of waiting, we've been able to test Halo Infinite's multiplayer in a PvP environment. And, yeah. Look, I don't want to mince words, but it's a bit of a mixed bag. Infinite is a really, really promising game with lots of cool mechanics, AAA polish, and a solid sandbox, but I could not for the life of me have an enjoyable time playing it for more than maybe half an hour at a time. Out of the 30 or so hours I put into this flight playing Arena and looking at everything else this game had to offer, I genuinely think I only enjoyed a handful of games and I ran into a lot of problems, ranging from graphical bugs to glitches, spawns, aiming, the time slots for PvP. I just had a really rough time playing Infinite, and while I'm sure the community will be the first to sing this game's praises and there will be a portion of people who only want to hear good things about it, I want to be upfront. I don't want to be another person in the positive echo chamber who pretends that the game is perfect. I want to explain how I felt after playing it and provide my thoughts and opinions on what was good, some of the things I thought were bad, some nitpicks I had, and offer my suggestions for how certain things should be fixed. So, with that out of the way, and hopefully without you clicking off the video immediately, let's take a look at the good stuff first. Since the last tech preview, Infinite has had a number of improvements made to its gameplay loop and mechanics, but for the most part the game is still in a fairly recognizable spot since we last had our hands on it in July, and most of the positives from that first flight still carry over to this one. Graphically, the game looks damn good. Unlike how it appeared during the 2020 campaign demo, Infinite has a much grittier direction to its art style and aesthetic that better reflects what I have always associated as being the look for Halo. The attention to detail is also fantastic. The way the tables and chairs in the restaurant on Bazaar flip and break when a Spartan walks through them, or the damage to nearby areas of the repulsor tunnel on recharge is excellent and really helps you to feel immersed in this experience, and like the map and the objects inhabiting it aren't just static props like many other shooter games. The fact your Spartan leaves muddy footprints behind, or when you reload the rocket launcher, the ammo with the barrel falls onto the floor below, is something that we didn't need but is still so cool nonetheless. The aesthetics of these maps, the Spartans, and the way their weapons look is all archetypal Halo to me. Even some of the designs I wasn't too keen on, like the Commando Rifle or Sidekick and Bulldog, they've started to grow on me some more, and I feel as though they fit better within the pantheon of other UNSC weaponry. The Banished Arsenal also looks great. Every formerly Covenant weapon like the Plasma Pistol and Needler look, sound, and feel great and offer a visual anchor to the Halo games of old in comparison to the newer Banished weapons. I think the game's sandbox overall feels like it's in a good spot too. Unlike Halos 4 and 5, where many of the newer weapons from the Promethean class just doubled up as slightly better versions of UNSC and Covenant weapons, each gun in this sandbox feels like it is different from the last, with barely any overlap. However, that could change given that most of the full game's weapons are yet to be seen. The selection of equipment was also varied and unique, with each one catering to a certain style of play. Audio-wise, Infinite is very solid. Unlike previous games where, despite being in a massive metal suit of armor, your footsteps were like me trying to get a sneaky 2 AM snack when my family is asleep, this game puts footstep audio at the forefront of its sound design, and in some cases it was easier to hear someone creeping up on me than it was for me to see them on the motion tracker, but more on that later. Each gun sounds beefy and loud with a fair amount of kick. The music, exceptional. The post-rock soundtrack for multiplayer is very different to what we've come to expect from Halo, but it still carries over and sneakily hides some of those classic themes and leitmotifs from older games in their composition. Performance-wise, this flight felt like a massive improvement over the last one. On my rig with the 2080 Ti and Ryzen 3900X, it was barely scraping by with 70 FPS on medium to high settings, and it seems as though that was a bug that was thankfully patched. Now I'm sitting at a much more comfortable 100 FPS on average, and I'm sure with further optimization passes, the game will perform much better on PC come December. I can't speak for the console experience, but for me, I thought it was pretty solid. And that kind of brings our positives to an end. Yeah, in terms of presentation, Infinite looks great, it sounds great, and on the surface, it has all the right stuff to make for a great Halo game, but unfortunately, there's also a bit holding it back. Now, this is the big one, very controversial, and people are getting their pitchforks out already, but aim assist in the game, to me at least, feels very inconsistent, especially on certain weapons, the same as it did last flight. I had a difficult time landing shots with the Sidekick and the Commando especially, and the Sniper as well. I'd frequently overshoot my targets, even when within red reticle range, and I think the issue for me is that the aim assist is just very enclosed and feels like it's barely just outside the hitbox of an enemy player. Unlike in older Halo games where there was an element of smoothing and gradually slowing your aim down the closer you got to a target. I understand the argument that Halo should have reduced aim assist, especially given that it is a cross-platform game, and as such, keyboard and mouse players need to be catered to. I know, I play on PC, but I was having way more fun playing the game on mouse and keyboard and was hitting shots far more regularly, and I just don't want to do that. As someone who's been playing on controller for upwards of 15 years, to suddenly find myself doing better on mouse and keyboard out of no fault of my own, it felt weird. And I just don't really like it. I shouldn't be forced to have to play Halo on mouse and keyboard. I'd prefer to play it on controller and have that as an option, but currently, I feel like playing on controller just puts me at too much of a disadvantage, and for the casual players on console who just want to pick up the game and enjoy it, they might find themselves struggling. And I know this isn't just a problem that's affecting me. People on Reddit, 4chan, yikes, the Waypoint forums, they're all complaining about this, and for good reason, yet there seems to be an outcry of people who saw this clip, didn't understand why it was happening, and are suddenly up in arms over the game's aim assist being too strong. And in all likelihood, these people complaining are the same people who haven't even played the game. Overall, I think aim assist just feels too different from other Halo games. I'm happy to have it tuned down a bit from what it is in the Master Chief Collection. I completely understand that, but right now, just something feels wrong. It feels jarring, and like none of my muscle memory has transferred over from the last several Halo games that I've been playing frequently, day in, day out on the Master Chief Collection. I don't know if heavy aim is something that's carried over from Halo 5, where your aim assist would vary depending on your connection to the server, but it just felt really bad. Even after spending 3 hours in training mode trying to get my 36,000 dead zones right.
Cortana, what exactly am I looking at?
Though I will say, the battle rifle, that feels perfect. Don't change a thing about that. The motion tracker. Yeah, I got a couple things to say about this. So, the motion tracker, I think, needs to be increased to a size that is more in line with previous Halo titles. 25 meters, like Halo Reach and I think a few other games, would be ideal. 18 meters is barely anything in this game. It's way too easy for people to get the jump on you, which I don't agree with. I've always thought of Halo as being a fair shooter, unlike Call of Duty, where someone can sneak up on you, shoot you in the back twice, and you're dead before you can blink. Halo has always been very accommodating with its slower time to kill and, of course, the motion tracker. These two elements give you the chance to react to an incoming threat and prepare yourself so you're on an even playing field, and whoever is the better player in a gunfight is bound to win. Currently, it's too easy for people to sneak up on you, and I don't like that. I also think there needs to be a more obvious way to tell when an enemy player is either above or below you. Since Reach, we've had a red triangle to show an enemy is above you, and a darker shade of red to show an enemy is below you. And I can't tell you how many times I've rounded a corner super cautiously on live fire thinking there was an enemy there, only to find out they're on the floor below me, and I've just gone through all this trouble to try and get the jump on this guy for no reason. Sometimes I feel as though it just wouldn't work and I wouldn't see people on it even though they were sprinting right towards me, and I think part of that is because it is such a small range and that you move so fast in this game, it just doesn't matter sometimes. Part of it could also be because it feels slightly over-designed. There's these sonar bleeping circles that span out every few seconds. The motion tracker moves its direction depending on the way you're facing. There's all these lines and other details on it that make it harder to see red dots on it. So, increase the motion tracker range, give us different icons that represent the level an enemy is on, and simplify the design to be more in line with older games. And I think that would hopefully appeal more to players in general, and it would definitely appeal more to me as well. And the assault rifle, yeah. I think that this needs to be overhauled drastically. I found myself using the AR at ranges that ideally, I don't think it should be used in. Historically, in Halo, I feel like the pistol has always been better for medium range encounters, while the AR has been your trusty close range buddy. Whereas in Infinite, it feels like the opposite. And that could be what 343 are going for, but I feel far more comfortable using the AR at any range, and funnily enough, so do the bots, to the point where the sidekick almost feels redundant to me, especially with its lack of consistent aim assist. I feel like its only purpose in the game was as a last-ditch resort if my AR ran out of ammo. Also, a headshot multiplier? Really? We're going to repeat the same mistake from Halo 5? I mean, that's just... Come on. Look, we don't need that on a non-precision full-auto weapon. We do not need that on the assault rifle. So, my suggestion? Reduce the AR's damage over range, reduce the headshot multiplier, or just remove it outright so the sidekick can better compete when it comes to getting headshot kills, and decrease the reticle bloom. I thought we would have learnt our lesson after Reach here, but you need to reduce that bloom or outright remove it to make it more consistent in those close-range gunfights. As it stands, I think bloom is a shitty mechanic. I don't think we need to keep it in. Like, it's either bloom or recoil. I don't think we should have both of them. And if Halo Reach's beta proved anything, is that you only really need to keep one or the other. And this also ties into the maps as well. As it stands, a lot of the games I played on the current maps normally devolved into medium to long-range AR fights while someone waited for the battle rifle or commando to respawn. Especially on Bazaar, you just get people camping up on top of the walkway, throwing down drop walls, and occasionally peeking out from cover to try and land some sneaky headshots. Normally, anyone who dared to cross the map would get mowed down by the entire enemy team, and it was a constant stalemate until someone either died or got a cheeky flank through the bottom shotgun tunnel. Speaking of the maps, spawns, god, they were pretty dreadful. Bazaar wasn't too bad, as getting into the enemy spawn is much harder, there's more cover, buildings, less routes to take to get there, whereas on Recharge, I got spawn killed pretty frequently by enemies either on the platform above where I spawned or immediately around the corner. I spawned into a few grenades on live fire as well, which really isn't what I come to expect from a Halo game. Call of Duty, sure. COD and shit spawns go hand in hand, but not in Halo. I spawned into gunfire multiple times or took a few steps out to suddenly get cut down, so I think there needs to be either a short period of invulnerability after you respawn, or increase the safe areas so there's less of a chance of players spawning if an enemy is within that safe area. Melee has also been one of those things in Halo that's always hit and miss. In Infinite especially, I found myself literally stuffing my fist into people's faces and having no registration for melee, whereas some people would be lunging what felt like several meters to get a hit on me.
What? That's what you get.
I think this is partly due to the lack of player collision, so you'd frequently get too close to someone and just phase through them, and so the melee wouldn't register, or you'd suddenly be on the other side of the person you're trying to hit. Those are a few of the big takeaways I had for the negatives, so I'll round off some of my nitpicks. The grapple shot, I think, needs an indicator to let you know when you can grapple onto a certain surface or object. It's difficult to tell when you are within range, and I'd frequently see something, think I was within range to grapple onto it, realize I couldn't, and then die with my dick out. Black Ops 4, Cold War, good examples of how to do a grapple indicator in those games. Occasionally, I'd start matches without being able to move, and the game wouldn't register any input. Had this happen to a few of my friends as well. Challenges would frequently get stuck and glitch, meaning I'd have to restart the game for them to keep working. I'm still also very much in the mindset that providing per-match XP instead of completing daily challenges should be a thing, but that's a topic for another video. This really annoying double reload glitch. Overshield cheese during gunfights, and in general, I feel like a power-up as good as that needs to spawn less often. Same goes for the rockets on Bazaar. And the sniper rifle is still inaccurate and doesn't line up where you aim, and the bloom is just completely random. And am I the only one who feels like the first zoom level is a tad too high? I think we also need the option to opt out of joining games in progress. There's a reason why there's a vacancy in that game that's a player down. It's because the team I'm about to join is losing. And I can tell you this right now, I'm not the guy to bring it back.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
This is a feature that is overlooked in so many games that I don't understand why it's not something that you can toggle on or off. Game still crashes when you rebind push to talk. Explosion physics just don't work for some reason. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I swear the bots went AFK sometimes. Is this something they're programmed to do? Because if they are, that really encapsulates the Halo experience. 10 out of 10, 343. You guys did a real job with making Infinite's multiplayer, especially the bots, feel like the real deal. So yeah, as it stands, Infinite has got its problems. I think its strongest suit is in its presentation. The way the game looks and plays is pretty good for the most part, but it's not great. It's not fully there yet, and I'm really hoping, I am crossing my fingers so hard, that this game will get to a better state by December. I want this game to do well. I know so much of this video was focused on the bad, but I think that the only way that this game can get to the point of being great is if we give 343 our feedback, we let them know what's going on, and this is my way of doing that. So, I'm sure that this video is probably going to be quite divisive, and that there's probably going to be a few dislikes as well, which is fair enough, but to those people who do dislike the video, drop a comment below. Please drop a comment below. I want to start a discussion. I want to hear what people have to say. I want to get another perspective. I want to know if maybe I'm the one who's in the wrong here. So, yeah. If you guys did enjoy the video, however, please feel free to drop a like, maybe even a subscription if you're so kind. I'll likely do another video like this for Big Team sometime next week as well, so there's that to look forward to. Anyways, till next time, guys, have a good one.